Girl, you know you need to call me. All right, I love you. Bye.
Hey family, welcome to Call Me When You Make It. I'm Jayla.
I'm Tamala, and we are the mother-daughter duo that you never knew you needed.
Period. So today, speaking of motherhood, mother-daughter duo, today's episode we are talking about the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between of motherhood and pregnancy. I'm actually really excited to talk to you about this because I don't have kids just yet, but I am really excited about motherhood, and becoming a mom is something that I'm really looking forward to in the near future. So I think I'm excited just to talk about like your journey as a mother, your pregnancies, and just your experiences. And yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. We've talked about this stuff before, but
yes,
I feel like there's probably some details that I don't know just about like your pregnancies and like your labor and delivery stories and
oh boy,
postpartum and like all that type of stuff. So we're gonna delve into all of that. All
right.
So okay, let's I guess just start from the beginning, which would be me. Because I'm the oldest.
Right.
So, what was your pregnancy with me like? And how did you find out? Because I think I always like hearing people's stories about like how they found out they're pregnant and like what the signs were and stuff. So,
okay.
What was that story?
So, that is a story because, first of all, I was in denial. About being pregnant. I probably knew I was pregnant, but as a lot of women out there, we probably know we're pregnant. We're like, oh, I'm not pregnant. It's probably the flu, or things like that. Because I just wasn't ready really yet in my mind mentally, and I had this particular friend. Shout out, girl, because you know who you are. We talk about it still to this day. And I'm telling her how I'm feeling. And she's like, girl, if you don't go to the doctor, because it's sounding like you're pregnant. And I'm like, girl, no, I think I'm just coming down with something. And I just need to get some rest and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, whatever, you're sounding pregnant. And lo and behold.
She knew.
So what I did was, I took a pregnancy test at one of those home pregnancy EPT or whatever type pregnancy tests.
Yeah.
And I took it and it was negative. So I said, "Oh, see, it was negative." She said, "That doesn't mean nothing."
Right. And it's probably too early on.
Right.
Yeah.
The hormone wasn't recognizing that hormone yet.
Right.
That pregnancy hormone that shows up. That's why those at-home pregnancy tests work. So those of you who don't know, don't rely on those home pregnancy tests. Because just because it says negative doesn't mean you're not pregnant.
And you should probably take multiple. I feel like a lot of women take like 3 just to be sure in case you get like a false negative or something like that too. So you just took one at-home pregnancy test.
I took one.
Okay.
Time goes by. I did take another one.
Okay.
It was negative again.
Really?
But I didn't wait long enough.
Okay.
Enough time.
So it was still too early.
Still too early.
Okay.
So, I still kept having these horrible symptoms.
I was going to say, what were your symptoms like? What was the first inkling?
First symptom, morning sickness. My stomach was...
So you had that early.
It was mild.
Okay.
It was mild. I had just... My stomach I was just nauseated.
Okay.
Horribly nauseated. Ew. The fatigue was extreme. Almost like I guess I could say almost like if anyone out there has had COVID, that fatigue where it just doesn't ever really go away. You can never get enough sleep.
That fatigue is crazy.
That almost type of fatigue, but not.
Okay.
Similar.
Okay.
And the similarity would be that there's not any amount of sleep that you can get to make it go away.
Okay.
That type.
Okay.
So I was like, what is wrong with me? So I went to the doctor. Finally.
Good. Yeah, go to the doctor.
Right. I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
I gotta go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, well, the reason you're so tired and the reason you're nauseated is because you're pregnant. You're gonna have a baby.
Oh my gosh.
And I just was like, I said, are you sure? Like, I'm questioning the doctor now. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? You know, like, he's like, oh, I'm very sure. So I just started crying. Yeah, that's how I found out.
That's how you found out. Oh
That's how I found out.
So,
yes.
you were, I mean, you weren't like super young, but you were young.
I
when
was.
You had me.
Yes, I was. Not to reveal my age. Okay, let's. I'm not really ashamed of my age.
She's like, y'all not about to do the math on this.
But you've already said how old you are,
Yeah.
so let's face it. Okay, I'm not ashamed of my age. I was 24 when I had you, so yes, I wasn't super young, but I wasn't old.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was 24 when I got that exciting news.
And 24, it's so wild because growing up, like 24 seemed, you know, really grown, like old.
Right.
And now that I'm 31 and I think about what if I had a kid at 24 and I would have a 7-year-old present day. There's just like, there's no way. Like I just can't imagine having a kid right now.
The hilarious part of what you just said, and I know you probably thought about this too, is not only about having one kid, but I had two at 31. Because I had your brother by then.
Right.
I had her brother when I was 30.
Right. So, oh my gosh. Having two kids right now.
Yeah.
I just literally can't imagine. But it was such different times though, too.
Yeah, it was very
like,
I was going to say, it's a different
having
time,
a child
for sure.
in the 90s
Was
versus
so
like having a child right now is like night and day.
Absolutely.
And I also think, what would you say was like the major difference between your pregnancy? I know we're kind of jumping. We'll kind of, you know, go back and forth. But what would you say was like the major difference between like your first pregnancy with me and your second pregnancy?
Oh, huge. I'll tell you. So I'm going to blow some minds right now. Hers and probably a lot of others for those that are the younger, I'll say the younger audience. So, 1993 is when you were born. So when you were born, I had a emergency C-section, meaning it was not planned. During that emergency C-section, we were allowed, this is going to sound insane, we were allowed to videotape the birth. Okay. And we did, and I have it on tape.
I saw it. That was crazy.
Isn't that insane?
That was crazy, yeah.
So there was the drape, the sterile area. Mm-hmm. So as long as you videotape on this side, you can stand up, it was done.
That's crazy.
In fact, my sister is the one who did it. My sister was there, and she videotaped. So 3 people are allowed in there. No, 2 people. Were myself and 2 people were allowed, and my sister was doing the taping, and Jayla saw the video of her birth.
It was crazy.
So that was allowed in 1993. So that was done. We have it, and I love that we did that, and we were allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Because fast forward to 1999. I thought I was going to be able to do that again when I had to have another C-section for your brother. But they said, excuse me, what are you doing with that? You cannot video nor take pictures in the operating room. So I have none of that for her brother.
Different. Yeah.
So that's majorly different.
Also, okay, so...
And one person only was allowed in there.
Okay,
So only... my husband was allowed in there at the time.
And now I think because of COVID and things like that, it's probably even different. Like I'm now
sure.
with labor and delivery now.
Right.
So, okay, so you mentioned with me, you had to have an emergency C-section.
Yes.
I've heard this story before, but refresh my memory too. Why was it because it wasn't scheduled. Like, you were trying to have me naturally, right? So what happened to where they were like, had to rush you to have the emergency?
Goodness. So first of all, I was in labor for going on 16 hours. I was in labor. I wasn't dilating, and you were getting wrapped around the umbilical cord because you kept trying to reposition and try. You were trying.
Yeah, I was trying to come out.
Trying to figure out how to work this out.
Yeah.
So at some point, you were in distress because it was you were moving around too much, and you started to wrap around the cord, and the monitor lost the heartbeat, and the alarm went off, and when they looked on there, they just couldn't find it, and all these alarms went off, and all I remember was it was like something off of one of those hospital type
shows.
ER shows, yes. Because I'm lying in the bed, and all I remember was these alarms going off. I'm looking over at the monitor, and it's going dee, like for literally like when someone dies,
flatline.
But it's the heart monitor for the baby. So I'm like, what's going on? I don't know. I'm like, did my baby just die?
Yeah.
Like, they shouldn't make that like that. By the way,
that's scary.
It freaked me out. I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. So I look over and it's going dee, and I'm like, and then all these people, I don't know where they even came from. It's like they dropped out of the ceiling. So shout out to Sutter, because that's where I had you, and that group of the nurses and doctors at that hospital were awesome. They came in there and I couldn't even see out of the room. They were surrounded my bed, and somebody's down here doing something, and they're like, blah, 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 stat. And the next thing I know, I'm flying down the hall and going into the operating room. They're like, we're doing a C-section right now. And they were doing it. Like, that's how it happened. And I mean, so I didn't have, this was the other thing. So I started hyperventilating. So they were giving me oxygen. And silly me, when you're freaking out, so I was trying to take it off, and the nurse was like, she ended up, she said, to breathe. Yeah, she's like, sweetie, you have to leave this on for the baby, because now I'm not giving enough oxygen. And I was like, oh my goodness. So it was pretty wild. It was like kind of traumatic for a second.
Oh my gosh.
So that's how
chaotic.
This is the story of Jayla's pregnancy. My pregnancy with Jayla and her arrival into the world. That's how it started.
And so then with my brother, it was scheduled.
Yes.
So it's like night and day, right? Because you were not planning on having him naturally at all, right? Like,
I was not trying to be in labor for 16 hours and do that all over again. No way. So, not at all. I thought, why traumatize myself if I don't have to?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And
I also, after speaking to my doctor, because of medical reasons, he suggested, but, they can't tell you what to do. He advised, I should say. He advised of it because my son was bigger than you. And for logistical reasons, he said, hey, I'm just saying, this one's bigger than the other one, so chances are this one's going to have a hard time coming out too, because that was part of the reason also, because of why you couldn't make it out. That had a lot to do with it too, size.
I think that's the part of pregnancy that I'm nervous about the most, is the labor and delivery nervous. Is like, I think it's just because it's
such a long way.
So unpredictable.
It
is. You can hear a million labor and delivery stories, and like moms will give advice, and like,
oh yes,
all that.
Everybody's always got advice,
but everybody is so different. Yes. Like, you could do XYZ just like this mom did, but your labor and delivery could go the complete other way.
So, on one of the other episodes, I said, if you remember, I said, there is no one size fits all. Just like parenting, right? There's no one size fits all. What works for one is not going to work for the other. Mm-hmm. So, we can tell our stories like I'm telling mine. And I always say, just because it worked for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you, mm-hmm. and vice versa. Mm-hmm. But we can share our stories because there may be another mom out there one day that has a similar story to mine. Mm-hmm. And what I'm saying may help her or a friend of hers, whatever. Yeah. We don't know. Yeah. So just as I have heard things and it has helped me, mm-hmm. You don't know who you're helping, who you're reaching. So I think we should share more. Because you don't know who you may be helping or inspiring, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. So that's a good point because mm-hmm. I for a long time, like for the past few years now, I watch like labor and delivery stories and like, I try to watch a lot of like doulas and like mm-hmm. midwives, things like that, just because there's a lot more information and resources out now than mm-hmm. there were, during your pregnancies.
For sure.
And
absolutely.
There's just a lot of information, a lot of resources, and so I like watching things like that and like getting information just so I can have that information for when my time comes. Cause like one thing I was gonna ask you is back when you were pregnant with both of us, were there, like, being a doula or, like, finding a doula or, like, birth centers and things like that, was that even a thing? Was that even a discussion back then?
So interesting you asked. So this was really, let me back up. This is interesting timing-wise. That was starting to be a thing, but not as widespread as it is now.
Okay.
What was also newer is that it was more common for people to be able to come in while you give birth. Like a lot of people, like you could have almost whoever you want to come in there if mm-hmm. you're just giving birth. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, I won't say her name to tell her business, mm-hmm. but I had a friend who was giving birth. And she wanted me to be there. Mm-hmm. And I was like 5 months pregnant. So I saw.
And you're pregnant.
And I was like, I can't believe what I'm seeing, and I have to do this soon.
In a few months, yeah.
So that was a little traumatic for a moment. And I remember the nurse looked over and she's like, "Oh, well, you're next, sweetie." And I was like, "Could we not discuss this right now?" Nah. Yeah, it was something. And so it's something to have a baby yourself, but to watch someone else do it, it's something. Let me tell you, to be right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, a lot of people obviously have their own children, but I tell people, have you ever seen somebody else have one?
Like in person.
In person, yeah. Right there, like it's like this. Like it's coming, like you know what I'm talking about? Wild. Like right there. Like girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll make you be real close friends with somebody for life. Like that girl, you're an OG for that. Like So I'm just saying, like,
So as far as like doulas and like support people, that was like a newer concept back then. Like that wasn't something that
it just wasn't something. I just don't remember anyone ever talking about that or wanting that or just that being something we needed or wanted. I never even.
Because I feel like now for one, I actually used to want to become a doula. Do you remember when I was like thinking about going back for like certification and stuff like that?
I do remember that.
I used to want to become a doula. I was thinking about, going through all of the certification and schooling and things like that for that, and I wanted to have my own agency. I changed my mind about that and have gone through 1,000,000,005, career changes, but that was something I did used to want to do. But ever since, I've been really interested in what doulas do and getting one for when that time comes for me. Just because I think the level of support and like what they can offer is really interesting. So if there's any doulas out there, out in the chat, I would be curious to like just hear about your experience, like how you got into it and what you think moms or new moms gain from having a doula.
So let me ask you this. So like with the story I just told you, like with my story,
Mm-hmm.
what would a doula do in that situation?
So doulas in the chat, chime in,
please.
But
because
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I asked that question because obviously that's a medical situation, emergency medical situation.
Mm-hmm.
So in my case, I was already at the hospital,
mm-hmm.
and had been, in labor for many, many hours, 16 almost. So, but I want to know, I'm always, once again, safety is my favorite thing to discuss. Again, safety. I'm always trying to be proactive. Jayla will vouch for that, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. I'm always trying to think of ahead. Mm-hmm. And like, if this happens, then we need to do this. So I'm a planner. And so with that, I'm always like, if this happens, then we need to do this. So I would ask, if there's a medical situation, emergency, what do they do?
So I think that's where doulas come in, is just how you were saying you're a planner and like, well, what if this happens in this scenario? I think that's what doulas do, is they're the ones who are your support system, and they're the ones that are helping you execute whatever your birth plan is as best to their ability as they can. Because that's the other thing too, is like, if you have a birth plan of like, okay, well, I want to deliver naturally, or I want to have a water birth at home, or I want to do whatever, that's your plan. And obviously, like, you want to carry that out. Mm-hmm. And your doula will help you do that to a certain extent, though. But sometimes, just like in your case, emergencies happen. So it's like, if that were to happen, they're supposed to be like your right hand to assist between like, you and the nurses, or you and the doctor, or like they're like your point person and like your support person.
Right.
But I also I don't have all the answers. So
right. No.
So again, like correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
but, But so, that's my understanding of
right.
Like,
so that's a good question. So chime in, because so that's what I'm saying. So C-section wise, as far as I know, C-section, they wouldn't be able to assist in that.
That I don't know.
Because, chime in. Doulas, call in. Let us know. Send comments. Comment in the
comment. Yeah.
Comment. Call. Let us know. We need help in this area. It's an operation. It's a major operation, and only one person can come in, and they have to stay in the sterile area. Everyone else has to be the nurse or the surgeons over there, because I don't think a doula would be able to come in the operating room. This is major surgery happening in here. This is no longer labor and delivery room.
I understand that. I think you'd have to choose, like, okay, am I having my doula come in, or am I having like my husband come in? I think you'd have to pick.
Oh boy. Oh, I see. It comes down to that.
I think if that's the rule at the hospital,
is that how it works? Let us know.
If that's the rule at the hospital and you can only have one person in the OR, then I think that's
I see how what you're saying. Then it's like,
but I also think,
what a decision.
Yeah, but I also think it's like, with a doula, they're not so much your medical support, because they're not nurses. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, but clearly not.
But I think
I get that.
But I think, like, I mean, not to say it like they're like beneath nurses or anything like that, but I'm just saying, like, it's a different profession.
I think they don't think
that. But I think it's like, if you had to go to the OR, if there's like something like that, I feel like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but Y'all, it's late. It's really late, and I'm not gonna lie to you. It's late. I'm getting a little sleepy, so I kind of lost my thought. But anyway, I just think it's interesting.
Happens to the best of us. Bear with us.
I just think it's interesting how like doulas and having a midwife and things like that are more. It's like more prominent now than it was, because like back like when I was born, that just wasn't really a conversation. I don't even think people knew that was an option.
Right.
So
I think it has to do a lot with people trying to do things more naturally now and organically and eating healthy and do everything healthier.
Yeah.
And natural.
Yeah.
Naturally.
And
as possible.
And I think also because we're now more aware, like Black women especially, because of that like mortality rate, I think that's also a factor of like, you know, how we make our birth plans and like choosing to have doulas, choosing to have, you know, a midwife, or choosing to not give birth in a hospital.
Right.
Because sometimes that's not the safest option. Like it's there's a lot that goes into it now that I think now that we have more information, we're able to kind of curate our birth plan a little bit.
Right. More. I'm wondering if, and again, doulas, let us know. I'm wondering if a doula could be someone, and if a doula's not, maybe this could be someone's profession. I'm thinking because there is such a high rate of mortality. I'm wondering if a doula could be the person to advocate once the mother arrived at the hospital, and obviously she cannot, you know, like she knows the system, right? Once the mother arrives, who can no longer speak for herself. She's laying there and she's, you know, having contractions. So obviously she can't speak for herself. So I'm thinking she's back there and she's talking to doctors, and because she knows how this is run, how it's set up. So she's not going to allow this mother to, like, say, be sitting in the hall for 10 hours. Mm-hmm. That type of situation.
Right. To my
I'm
understanding,
wondering if that's what her position is.
To my understanding, that's
because the husband
support.
is sitting with his wife holding her hand,
and he's not going to be able to do.
And he doesn't know what the deal is here.
Right.
He doesn't know. Maybe that's what she's supposed to do, is sit out there for 10 hours.
Yeah,
but the doula knows that she shouldn't be there. That's what she's that role.
I think that's part of the support role, is advocating for
because
the mother.
She knows that's not right.
Because,
okay. I highly would commend her. Is it always a she?
I've only ever seen female doulas.
Well,
if male doulas exist,
he or she,
highly
commend. I'll just say
them
for doing it, because that is an amazing. That's a commendable thing to do.
Yeah.
Because it's much needed too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so shout out to all doulas. How about that?
Yes. I think having a doula is something that I think
these days I could see the need has grown. I think.
I'm definitely interested in having a doula when I have kids. Mm-hmm. I just feel like it's the advocacy, it's the support, it's the knowledge. I just feel like it would be nice to have like that extra support just along the journey too, because I believe you can have a doula, like, you know, as soon as you find out you're pregnant, and then you can even have a postpartum doula too, so like it doesn't have to end once you have the baby, which I think is really nice too.
You don't really need one because you have me.
Yeah,
I'm your doula.
Oh my god. Okay, Mom.
She doesn't know yet, but I'm her everything. Girl. I'm her doula, her postpartum doula. I'm her everything. She just
you say that now. I want you. Okay, since we have this on camera, you are saying this now. So when I have kids, and I'm like, "Hey, Mom, can you come watch the kids for blah blah blah?" Or, "Hey, we're trying to go on vacation. Can you watch the kids for a week?" I don't want to hear.
You won't have to say that because I'll be in the backyard in my house.
Y'all, she's really trying to make this like guest house situation a thing.
She'll be in her mansion, and I just said, just build me a small little house. I'm easy to please. Just nice, because I'm gonna make it all glam and beautiful and whatever. It doesn't matter the size. It's just me.
Girl, anyway, so speaking of when I have kids, yeah, I feel like, this isn't even something that I've thoroughly thought about because I'm just not at that point just yet where I'm like about to get pregnant, but it's obviously something that I've like thought about and considered. But like I said, I definitely am interested in having a doula for that support throughout the pregnancy and like while I'm giving birth. And I used to be really interested in having a water birth. I don't know if I ever told you that. I used to want to do water birth.
I do remember that. Have you changed your mind? That's a little scary.
I did change my mind.
Yeah, I don't like that idea so much.
So one of my friends
I didn't say anything, but I knew I had time to change your mind.
Girl. No, but listen, so one of my friends who's actually a OBGYN, she was the one who told me, she was like, that's actually not like a great idea. She's like, I know it's like really trendy and popular right now. Everybody wants to like have a water birth at a birth center or like at home. And if this is what you want to do your research. This is all just our opinion, obviously. Right. But I'm just saying from what my friend said, who was really in the field, like real deal in the field, she was just saying it's just more risky and it's a little bit more dangerous for the baby to have a water birth. So when she told me that, I changed my mind because I was like, okay, well, you would know. I don't want any higher risk. I don't want any higher risk. Yeah, yes. So I'm like, okay. But I think another thing, though, that I'm considering is I would love to find like a birth center that's connected to a hospital, because another thing, I think the reason why I was so gung-ho about a water birth is because I'm kind of afraid to have a baby in a hospital. Like hospitals in general are already scary enough. And then it's like they don't make the rooms for labor and delivery any different than like a trauma ICU unit, which I think is wild.
They do, though. They do in certain hospitals. They actually do.
Are you sure?
They do now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Kaiser does. Sutter does. Good hospitals do. It does matter what hospital. Mm, now, there are hospitals where that might not be the case, but there is a difference now. Now, a long time ago, that wasn't the case.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, you could go. There's a whole birthing. It's a whole... Kaiser South had a whole situation where they renovated, and it's probably changed again since when your brother was born. Mm. It changed like into a whole nother... It didn't even look like the same place. Mm. You know what I'm saying? But you were born in Sutter anyway, so... Yeah, just the difference in 6 years. But yeah, anyway, it is different. It is different, but it depends on the hospital is what I'll say.
Okay. So because that's my thing is I hate hospitals in general and just like how sterile and like we all know what hospitals are like and they're just like not fun, and I just feel like I would be so anxious, and it's like if I'm already in labor, I'm in pain. Right. I just feel like wherever I'm going to be giving birth, I want it to be calm, peaceful. Right. If I want to have aromatherapy and candles and music, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And I just feel like with hospitals, that's usually not the vibe. Like, you can't do that. No. So, but a birthing center, you can though. So now hospitals, most are trying to be equipped with those type of rooms. So they have a sofa in there, a recliner, the chair, the birthing chair / bed, and there's even like a sink in there, and it's kind of more like a little mini, kind of like almost like this type, living room area. Okay. I'm gonna have to do a tour or something, because it's like, what are you trying to say?
I don't know. I think I'm tired.
We're struggling.
It's been a long day.
Like, what are you describing?
I'm trying to describe a birthing The birthing room.
So
for
the
her.
birthing room.
She's apparently never really. She thinks that it sounds like, not, let me not say like you're not here. It sounds like you think that all hospitals have the same type of rooms because that's probably all you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean,
And
it's not like you just went around monitoring hospital rooms.
Right.
So I get that.
But, and mind you, the last time I even went into like a birth room, like labor and delivery room, was maybe like
when your brother
10.
was born?
No.
Oh.
I went when I'm trying to think of I don't want to say a name.
No.
But
a cousin?
A cousin.
Okay.
A cousin had a baby.
Okay.
But this was like, this was maybe like 9 years ago, 8 years ago.
Okay.
And it was like I don't know if it was Kaiser or if it was a different hospital, but it was like a regular hospital setting. And that was exactly what I'm talking about. The room was terrible. It's freezing. It's sterile. It's ugly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. So anyway, that's my thing with like labor and delivery. Obviously, like in a perfect world, I would give birth naturally. You know, I would love to not have to do a C-section. But I'm also like, it is what it is. Like, you kind of got to go with the flow.
The other thing I was going to say when you were speaking earlier is I don't know what other people do. I don't know what other people do with their kids or for their kids. When you talk about going to a hospital or doing whatever you do, you don't have to worry about these things. Because I'll be there. What do you think's going to happen when I'm there?
What do you think's going to happen when you're there?
I don't know, but you don't have to worry about these things. Do you think I'm going to let anything happen to you while you're there in this hospital setting?
No, I'm not worried about that.
Because I'm not sure what your concern is.
No, I'm not worried about that. It's
because you don't need to do. I'm your advocate. There'll be no safety concerns. There'll be no health concerns. I'm slightly a germaphobe, by the way. Yeah, so there'll be no germ concerns. I'm not sure what you're concerned about here.
It's not okay. I wouldn't say like concern. I think it's just a natural like
thing.
A natural, because I don't want to say anxiety. I don't want to say fear. It's just a natural thought. Like, because pregnancy and labor and delivery is scary.
Okay, I guess I'm being. Okay, what's the word I'm going to use?
Do you think because you've done it twice already that
I guess this is what I'm doing? No, this is what I'm doing right now, and I'm trying not to do this. What? This is me being a mom, the mom I am.
What?
I'm like, I've had a baby before, twice, and I'm your mom. So how could a doula do this better than me? Is that wrong? I mean, how are you going to advocate for my child better than me? And I've already had 2 kids. And one of them was her. Tell me, am I wrong for that?
I think it's because they have a level of education that you don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, to become a doula, you have to have,
she's not going to go in there and do the actual delivery. I'm not going to do the operation. Nor is she.
That's not the case.
I'm just saying.
That's not.
Well, we're not asking her to perform the C-section. So,
how do you have beef with a doula that I don't even have yet? Why? Oh my gosh. I think it's more so like the education. Like, you're tripping. I think it's more so the educational
Shout
aspect.
out to my doulas. I love you guys. I'm just being I'm being selfish. I don't want my daughter to have a doula now.
Oh my gosh. Like, please. I think it's something worth checking out when the time comes, because I mean, it's not going to just be me making the decision either. It's going to be him too. We'll talk about this
after the next episode.
Oh my gosh. It's going to be him too though, because he's going to have to approve. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure we would interview her and like do a whole thing.
Then we'll have a family meeting.
See, you're trying to be a helicopter parent and no. Anyway, okay.
Oh boy, this is going to be tough.
Anyway, I would like to explore having a doula.
Okay.
And I also would like to explore, like I said, having
I respect
a birth center.
Of course.
A birth center connected to a hospital, because I think it would be nice to have the option to like labor in the birth center, and then if needed, like if there's medical intervention or if there is, God forbid, an emergency that comes up, you have the hospital right there.
Right.
So
no, I get that.
So I just feel like wherever we end up, I would just look into those two options as far as like the labor and delivery and stuff like that.
I get that.
So getting into postpartum.
Oh boy.
Because I feel like nowadays postpartum is discussed, I think, a little bit more openly, and people talk about like postpartum depression and just like how it is after you bring the baby home and you get acclimated. How do you feel like your postpartum journeys were? Like, did you ever have baby blues, or like were you just super happy because we were just the light of your life, or like how was postpartum for you?
Oh boy. So for me, again, two extremely night and day experiences. Mm-hmm. Number one, with you, child number one, I was 24, number one, and I was technically, but not physically, I was, but not technically, a single mom.
Mm-hmm. You're co-parenting.
Right, I was co-parenting with your dad because he was in another city. So that was very different, of course. So with that dynamic, it felt like with you, single mom, 24, then you fast forward 30, married, and now it's like, that's just like night and day. You can't really compare the two.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like the support aspects were what made it different? Or do you feel like it was just like that time in your life and like where you personally were at in life made it different?
I think when I had you, I didn't have time. This will sound weird maybe, but I didn't have time to stop and think about anything or worry or focus on anything. It's like I have to just do this and I don't have time to think about anything. Mm-hmm. I'm a single mom. It's just me and my child, and just get over it and do it. Like, I didn't have time. Mm-hmm. It's you and I against the world, and I had to get it done. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, the second time around, I had help. I had more support right there in front of me. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it was like it was some burden taken off for sure. Mm-hmm. So, it was lighter. It was more help, and it did feel better. It was less stressful, that's for sure. However, I did have 2 children the second time around, so it's kind of like, mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of tricky there. Yeah. Because it's more going on now. Yeah. And more responsibilities. Yeah. And then the second time around, now I'm a wife too. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, the whole dynamic was very, very different each time. So, and I do think, and I have to throw in, my husband at the time was also going through an academy as soon as I had my baby. Mm-hmm. As soon as your brother was born and I was breastfeeding and had a C-section. Mm-hmm. So, and he said, I start my academy. And I'm like, what day would that be? So,
that's a lot going on.
Yeah, it was a lot. And you were little. You weren't old. You were only 6 years
You
old.
weren't old.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it's not like you were 14 or something.
Right.
You were a small child.
Did you have any like postpartum depression, or did you experience like any of that, like the baby blues or like anything like that after either of us was born?
I never had that.
That's good.
I think the only thing I was depressed about or had any type of blues about was my weight, which join the club, right? Every woman probably in America has said that at some point or another that had a child that was overweight at some point with their, after, we gave birth. But that was probably the only thing that as far as my, the emotional part of it, I don't think it was postpartum so much. It was just the hormones going back to I wouldn't call it postpartum. I never really felt that. It wasn't any major shift in the stories that I've heard. I don't feel like I had any of those, anything close to that.
Okay.
I just feel like mine was just, I'm down because I'm feeling down because I need to lose this weight. Because once I lost the weight, I felt better.
You were good.
Yeah, once I got it off, I was a lot better. Yeah, I didn't have. I think I was so excited about you guys and focusing on you guys that I couldn't be sad. Like, I just would look at you guys and just be like, oh, no, really, and just like watching you, because you were so excited to be a big. Oh my goodness! Oh, this one right here. She thought she had a baby. She was so excited about, oh my goodness, to be a big sister. Yeah. So watching you with your brother was like, that just made my whole day. Like, yeah. I love seeing you love him. So it was, I didn't have time. I wasn't sad.
That's good. That's good. I was worried about that because I feel like now, like I said, it's a little bit more discussed, like openly discussed about having like baby blues or postpartum depression. And some women don't have that, which is
I can't say I experienced that.
But that's good.
Yeah.
So what else do we have on here? Like any advice that you would give any new moms to be, like, do you have any words of wisdom that you would
How
like
long
to
is this show? No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, why don't we do
may
this?
have a part
Why don't we
two.
do this? to keep it.
No, I just give like top.
Why
two
don't we?
maybe.
Well, I was gonna say, why don't we do 3 pieces of advice so we can go
top 3.
Your top piece of advice for the actual pregnancy itself, wherever in the 9 months. Your top piece of advice for the labor and delivery, and then your top for like postpartum, like once you bring the baby home.
Okay, so you said pregnancy,
labor and delivery, when the baby comes home.
Okay. So just one for each.
Yeah. So that, narrow it down.
Oh boy. Okay, that's hard to do just one for pregnancy. There's so many for pregnancy.
Okay, go ahead.
Like, I would say for your pregnancy, your health, like how you're taking care of yourself and eating, and your stress levels. Like we don't realize how we feel is affecting how they feel so much. People forget about that. Like, it's really connected. Like, it's growing inside of you. It's so important, and that matters. So taking care of and your surroundings. Like, are you around a lot of stress all the time during your pregnancy? So I would that's my pregnancy advice. Okay. So you're taking care of yourself, your surroundings, and what you're putting into your body. And I had another one, but I just forgot it. Okay, pregnancy, labor and delivery.
Yeah.
Labor and delivery. I think for labor and delivery, I would just say I think everyone should be prepared to go either way. Because for me, I was ready to deliver either way, because my doctor basically told me that. He's like, I don't want you going in here saying, I'm only having my baby naturally. You know, I want you to understand you could very possibly have to have a C-section. But I don't want you going here saying, I'm having a C-section. You know, he just didn't want me to get set with anyone, you know, have tunnel vision.
So be fixated on.
Yes, be flexible.
The birth plan.
You know, don't tell yourself, hey, you know, and there's a stigma for some reason. I think it's getting better. I'm not sure, but everybody gets all flipped out and does this weird thing when you say C-section. And I'm like, why do people do that? Because when I had you by C-section, I was like, this wasn't a big deal. Like, to me. It just wasn't.
I think it's because, well, I will say, I do think hospitals and some doctors tend to.
I mean, I don't want. Okay, let me. I know everybody's probably screaming at me. I shouldn't say it wasn't a big deal. It was a big deal. It's major surgery. So yeah. I will take 2 steps back and fix that, because I had 2 of them. So it is a big deal. I will correct myself. Yeah. But what I mean by that is it's not any bigger deal than any other surgery we might have that heals in 8 weeks.
I think here's why I think the conversation is different now is I think people, again, we just have more information, we have more resources, and people are looking into the business of having kids, like the business of birth in hospitals, and also just being able to advocate for yourself and execute your birth plan the way you want to. Meaning, I think a lot of people have found that in these hospitals, there's some doctors who like push C-sections on women because it's easier or quicker to do, or you know, there's a lot of money involved in that because it's surgery. So there's sometimes can be like a push to just do the C-section,
but it's actually not quicker. I don't think it's the surgery. You know,
well, yeah, like quicker.
No, they get more money though.
Yeah, so I think people are a little leery of that, and I think people are also like, well, as women, we're literally built to push babies out. So why wouldn't I be able to do it unless it was like some emergency circumstance or like something's
like
wrong,
your circumstance,
or yeah. So I think that's the other thing too, is that it's like, do I have to have a C-section, or are you telling me this because you just want to do it and get the money for it, or whatever your reasons are.
Right.
Which I think that just boils down to like finding a doctor and a birth team and a whoever that you can trust, that you know isn't just like trying to sell you something.
That's when you know you have a good doctor. So just to chime in real quick, both of my doctors, because I had a different doctor each time, your doctor when I had you and when I had your brother, told me it wasn't a forced situation. You know, the first time was, hey, be ready for either way because we're not sure. And it was an emergency, you know, situation for sure. It wasn't, I was trying to push and do all these things, you know, not trying to push, but they were watching, you know, to see if I was going to be able to push. Yeah. That was the goal, to be able to push. When it was time for your brother, at no time was he saying, hey, you have to have a C-section. In fact, he asked me, he was actually trying to go the other way with it. I said, listen. No, really, he was trying to advocate the other way. And you know, him and, I almost said the name, him and my husband at the time were like, well, hey, you know, maybe you should just give it a try. And I had a male OB at the time. Yeah. And so, you know, and I looked at both of them and I said, listen.
I'm cool.
I'm deciding what's happening here. Yeah. This time.
Yeah.
If I can, because I just knew it was going to be one of these situations like it was last time. I felt strongly like it would be. So I didn't want to put myself in that position again, because that that was a scary situation.
Yeah, no, that's...
And that was my own
traumatic.
personal choice. Somebody
That is
else may have chosen differently. You know, but for me, I felt like it was set up very similar to the first time, and I was not trying to go for time number 2, and maybe time number 2 would not have turned out the same way, so it could have been a worse ending. So I chose to just plan it, and it all worked out fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so anyway, I get what you're saying about the money, and it's kind of more of a deeper, there's a deeper story there.
People are just questioning it a little bit more. I get that.
And it's just kind of like it should be a need.
Right. And also just like how you were saying how a lot of women were just more health conscious now about
as
like,
we should be.
You know, and I think obviously wanting to deliver naturally is preferred than having to like, you know, get a C-section.
Right.
I mean, maybe it's not. Let me say, for me, I would love to be able to have my kids naturally, but it's also like if I can't, I can't. Or, you know, if something happens, it is what it is.
I mean, I don't have anything else to compare it to now since I've had 2 C-sections. And then I thought, you know, hey, I don't want to get graphic on here, but, you know, after I thought about it, I was like, I wasn't so bad. I don't know if I want something tearing. I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah, it's...
And then getting sewn back together.
Either way
I'm
is
just saying,
rough.
I've thought about that.
Either way is rough, though.
You know, actually, if you don't feel it.
Yes.
No,
how was that recovery process, though?
It was 8... It's
2
little
months?
less than 8 weeks. It's listen, you know, I've had back surgery, so don't talk to me about a C-section. I'll take a C-section 8 times.
You've gone through some,
so,
yeah.
So,
but okay,
yeah.
It got so quiet. We're like crashing.
Clearly, we're tired.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, y'all. We're just like
it's all love.
We're trying, y'all. We're tired. We were like, we have to knock out this episode, so here we are.
It's been a long day.
Okay, so what else did I want to talk about on here? I mean, you kind of touched on like, I don't think you finished your advice about.
Oh my goodness, we went.
What did you say? Was your advice was for labor and delivery?
Labor and delivery. Oh, my advice was to go in prepared for both.
For either way. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your advice for once you bring the baby home?
Oh my goodness.
And like postpartum advice.
Well, my advice for when you bring the baby home is I first of all, I advise every mother, if you can, to breastfeed. I don't know, you know, what the in thing is these days with these mothers to, you know, with the gentle parenting, if that's gentle to breastfeed.
I don't think that has anything to do with that.
I'm just saying, like, everything has to be trending and in and all this, you know, the rave on social media.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if breastfeeding is trending, but, you know, hey, I think the reason you and your brother are so healthy is because I breastfed you for so long.
Okay.
I really do.
Interesting.
No, I really believe that. I hold on to that. I stand by that. I don't care what anyone says.
So you think it's truly the best for the nutrients for the baby?
If you were a healthy mom and took care of yourself, and yes, because there's something in there that builds your immune system and makes it strong. Ask a doctor. Ask any doctor, and ask someone that did it. That another mother that breastfed her children, ask her the health of her child. I'm just saying. How often are you sick? How often have you been sick? Like cold-wise, flu-wise. You don't get sick that often.
No.
You were not a sickly child.
No.
Neither was your brother.
Yeah, he wasn't.
The only thing he ever had was something with his ear. Like ever. That's like a hereditary type thing.
True.
That's it. You guys are not ever sick. Everyone else said, "Oh, my so-and-so sick, so-and-so sick." Oh, your kids are hardly ever sick.
I never thought about that.
You know what I'm saying?
So nutrient and like immunity benefits.
Yes.
Do you feel like there were benefits for you with breastfeeding?
Okay, so in the beginning, I'll say yes.
Okay.
Because when, obviously the milk is there. So it's, you're squeezing it to relieve it. Because if the milk doesn't get released, it starts to hurt. Mm-hmm. It just feels like your whole breast is going to explode if you don't release that milk out of there, right?
Yeah.
Sorry for being graphic. But
that...
right, they've heard I'm much worse.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah. Okay, so... Yeah, so you're walking around wearing these breast pads. Well, I don't know if they probably have some fancy things now. I don't know what you guys wear now. Back when I was a mom, we had to put these ugly breast pads in, and you have to change them because they, leak. And so, it's when it's time to eat, so there's a benefit there to answer your question. The benefit is you're draining my breast. So, and meantime, you're... You asked me. She asked me, didn't she?
That was just such a, wild description.
I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you.
Draining is so crazy. Oh my god.
Hey, we always tell the truth.
What I was gonna ask you though too is it true that breastfeeding helps you lose weight? Because I feel like a lot of new moms have talked about I breastfed my baby and I and it helped me snap back.
They lied.
So that was not the case.
It was a lie. Basically. Okay. Don't believe it.
So that wasn't the case.
No.
Wow.
It was something else, but maybe they thought it was that.
Oh, interesting.
But it wasn't.
It's not the breastfeeding.
Not at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's not.
I was wondering if that was true or not.
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Well, that's been debunked. So if you're trying to snap back and you think breastfeeding is gonna do it, maybe not. Okay. Wow.
I did lose a lot of weight each time, but it wasn't because I was breastfeeding.
Okay.
And I breastfed each one of you for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For how long?
So you were... One of you guys was 8 months. And... the other one was 7 and 9 months, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we weren't
2. Oh, no.
Because I know there are some moms who breastfeed.
It was almost a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are the 3 pieces of advice. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Nice. Do you have anything?
Oh, I had something else.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Do you have anything else to add?
Yes, I do. For home.
Okay.
I think breastfeeding is important, that first year of life, if you can. If you go close to a year as possible, or even the full year. The only reason I stopped was because I couldn't keep up with the pumping and the volume of milk when I went back to work.
Oh, okay.
That was the only reason that I stopped each time. So that was the only reason.
Speaking of, because this just got a question. Mm-hmm. For both pregnancies, how long was your maternity leave?
Not long enough. So it's so, it's different, especially now. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is compared to then. I don't even remember what it was then because it's been so long. Let me backtrack before I talk about myself and tell you about my husband. What was cool is they had passed a new law that said they had to give the men leave.
Oh, so he had paternity leave.
He did.
Okay.
He did, and that was cool.
Okay, because I didn't even know that was around then. I thought that was like a more recent.
It was very new.
Okay.
It was very new. And
yeah, because
we were
I've
excited about that.
I've always
because it was unfair that the father could not stay home with his new baby. You know what I'm saying?
And also, like, just
why
the mom
is it just the mom?
Help?
Yeah, like, well, hello, I just got here too. You know, I kind of just gave birth.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think I always thought, I was like, how come it's just maternity leave?
It shouldn't
like,
be.
It should be.
Yeah, it should be. Paternity leave as well. Yeah. So. Yeah. So he did. He got, and nice. I think I want to say, he had like 8 weeks.
Okay.
Something like that.
Because I was like, I feel like the norm is like 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's what he had.
I honestly, if I can choose, I would love to have at least like 6 months off of whatever work I'm doing to just nest and be with the baby and just heal and like, you know, because I just feel like whatever the legal, you know, time is that they allow it's too short.
So there was some sort of a thing where some sort of a law, or I don't know if it was like a law, but something written that said, again, this has probably changed a million times, but back then, that said, you know, we will pay you for X amount of time, right? For, you know, if you're out on leave for the baby. Mm-hmm. But after that, you're considered on leave, right? Okay. But we'll hold your position without pay, though.
See, that's the thing.
You know what I'm saying? We're not paying you.
Yeah.
But we can't fire you because you had a baby. You know what I'm saying? They can't fire you for having a baby.
Well, yeah, because then that's
then
a lawsuit.
We're just suing you. We're going to own the whole place. Yeah. So, you know, that's kind of that's what I remember it as. But I don't know if that. Let us know. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of lawyers out here ready to call in and say you're all wrong. I probably am. I don't know. Let me know. Yeah, so, you know, that's kind of where I think, that's what I last remember anyway. I'm sure, again, it's changed a billion times.
Yeah.
But,
so I don't know. We'll see. Like, I don't even know what my career is going to be looking like by the time I have kids. But that would be my wish, is, like, just to be able to have, like, a solid amount of time to just like be with the baby.
Yeah, that's
not
ideal.
Work.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, just
because that first year really is crucial for everything. But the first 6 months really, because you know that by then, you know, sitting up, crawling, like that's
yeah.
But I say and stuff. Yeah, but so the year, you know, then walking. You know what I mean? So you get all that stuff in.
Yeah.
You get that first year.
Yeah.
Yeah. That first year.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
God willing, I have a job where I can just, you know, be like, okay, I'm taking 6 months off. I had a baby. And,
right.
You know, so we'll see what happens. But, but yeah, I'm excited to have kids. I mean, like I said earlier, like, I think I'm nervous about the, like, labor and delivery part. The pregnancy part, I think I can handle. Like, I picture myself being, like, you know, fit, healthy mom. Like, I still want to be, like, working out and eating as healthy as I can.
You already do.
And all that type of stuff. So I'm excited about, like, the pregnancy and, like, getting the nursery together and, like, all that type of stuff. But it's time for bed. But
sorry,
we're wrapping up. But I'm a little bit nervous about the labor and delivery, but I know it'll be fine. Everything will be fine.
Just fine.
And then of course, like, you know,
Mommy
once the baby's
will be there.
home, like, that's the fun part.
It sure is. It's fun for me.
But yeah. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I'm excited.
Wait. I'm already looking at the Tiffany bracelets for the baby.
Oh my gosh.
I'm trying to figure out which one I want to get.
You know, you have some time. You have a little bit of time.
We're gonna get some matching outfits and stuff.
Girl.
Here's some little fur slides.
Oh my god.
She knows I'm gonna do it too. That's why she's laughing. She's not even saying nothing.
Because like the gifts and the outfits and the jewelry.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I don't even get a little mini handbag, have it specially made. Oh,
it's about to be
the possibilities
extra.
are so endless. I can't even wait.
Extra.
I'm just so excited. I can't.
But yeah, so I'm
She's
excited.
taking a long time, but I'll wait.
We're not even gonna go there with that.
Just kidding.
But
she knows I'm joking. We have time.
We
do.
We have
things to do right now.
Yeah. I definitely think that you know. I'm glad that I don't have kids right now.
Yeah, we're busy right now.
Yeah, we're
busy right now.
It's just not the time. But I look forward to having kids in the near future. Like, I definitely want to have kids in the next, like, couple of years. We'll see what happens. But,
yes.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like,
Okay.
I am very passionate about, like, motherhood, pregnancy, like, advocating for soon-to-be moms because I used to actually want to be a NICU nurse. I originally went to school for nursing, and I really wanted to specialize and become a NICU nurse. And I've just always had like a special place in my heart for babies, and I love kids, and so I've just always been interested in like pregnancy and the process and just everything that revolves around pregnancy and motherhood, and I'm excited for that time to come in my life too. So, and I'm excited for you to become a grandma one day too. Like, I just feel like you're gonna be so cute. It's gonna be fun.
I'm the last of my friends other than one other one.
Oh, true.
It's me and one other friend of mine.
Everybody else has grandkids.
Everyone else, and I won't even count her because she said her daughter doesn't want kids.
Oh, okay.
So I can't even count her because there's no plan of her ever having children. So so that means I'm the last one.
So technically, well, we'll see what we can do for you.
So she said. So I'm excited too. Is what I'm saying. I'm excited to be the last one.
Yeah,
but I've enjoyed being the last one because I'm not in a rush. Because most of them became a grandma before they wanted to be a grandma. And they were babysitting before they wanted to babysit.
There we go.
That part right there.
There we go. So,
excuse me.
Well, I think that wraps up episode 3.
Yes,
And
it does. Look at us.
So, let's cheers.
All right. Yes.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you. Thank you for putting up with our antics. But we're having such a blast.
We are having fun.
We hope you are, because we are.
We're having fun. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please remember to comment below. We would love to hear your personal stories, your feedback, whatever you would like to share with us. Please drop it down in the comments. Like I said, like this video. If you like this video, please subscribe. We will be posting videos every Sunday. Yes. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers.